What's going on?
We got.
Found some here. What good is
Hey, there they are. Only two people get Don't take everyone there. Have fun. Oh, he did wait. And he ran into the girlfriend.
That last one, 5 years. That's what he went on 2 or 3 episodes. Did it all. We're going to stay off to the
Yeah, that's the old steam whistle back there.
We have a question, sir.
Hey, what?
Okay. Now,
Be nice. Don't ask that
back in the
question.
day when this railroad was built, what was it built for back in the day?
A railroad engine?
No, the tracks.
Sorry, ma'am, I had
Just regard her, please. We don't get off that.
That was good.
The railroad was built. Question was, I was asked a question and I'm going to answer it for everybody. Question was, why was this railroad built? Well, back in the 1800s, we had an awful lot of timbering going on out here. And we also had a whole lot of mining going on out here. They were mining copper, iron, corundum, mica, all types of different minerals out here. And they was cutting timber. Mr. Anderson was the idea man behind building this rail line. He wanted to build a temporary line out here so he could begin sending the goods to market. And he figured that along with that, he'd go ahead and he'd have a bunch of tourists come out here too. By the way, that's y'all. So he just started to build the rail line. Well, in order to build it, he didn't have a whole lot of money. So he went to the North Carolina General Assembly, said, could you help us out? They said, sure, but you got to help us first. You got to build the line from Old Fort into Asheville. Then when you finish that, you got to build the line from Asheville to Paint Rock. Then and only then will you be able to build your line out west. He said, fine, and he did that. Began in 1881 building this Murphy branch. That's what they call it. It come out of Asheville, went 123 miles out to Murphy, North Carolina. In 1891, they got out there to Murphy, North Carolina. Mr. Andrews' idea was to meet a couple of other rail lines out there. And what he was going to do was meet those rail lines. They was going to build a spur up to Tellico. Then they was going to combine with another rail line and build a spur all the way out to St. Louis and tie in with the Transcontinental. 3 rail lines that he was going to meet out here. The first one was the Tallulah Falls rail line. It stopped in Franklin, never made it across the mountains. The second rail line that he was going to meet was the Marietta, North Georgia rail line. That happened. It actually made it out to Murphy, North Carolina from Marietta, Georgia in 1891. The third rail line was the East Tennessee rail line. They never began construction. But Mr. Andrews, his idea behind getting out here was a good one. Because not only did he build this branch here, but the timber companies helped him build another branch north of the Little Tennessee River that fed all of the towns up there in what is now called the Great Smoky Mountains. So there were two branches of the Murphy Branch, two separate lines that ran out of Bryson City, and it did bring the people in. One of the things that I love to tell about this story, though, is this. Out of all of the rail lines that built out in western North Carolina, there are only two of them that went over the mountains and succeeded in staying alive to this day. You see, the Western North Carolina Railroad went from Asheville down to Murphy along the Little Tennessee River. It's still operating today as the Great Smoky Mountain Rail Line. We're running on the Western North Carolina Rail Line bed right now. The other one was the Marietta, North Georgia. It's still running today also. Oh, you don't know it by the Marietta, North Georgia. It's called the Blue Ridge Railway. Runs out of Blue Ridge, Georgia, all the way up to McKaysville, and it runs on the original rail bed of the Marietta, North Georgia rail line. So the two rails companies that made it over the mountain have enough tenacity to stick on to this day. That's my story. I'm sticking with.
Oh, bro, that's good.
All right.
Thank you. It is amazing.